We are now 80 weeks into the Monday Night War. This is the Raw side, the 208th episode of Monday Night Raw. Ratings for this Raw were 2.7 and 3.4 for Nitro. WCW Nitro wins for the 43rd week in a row. Brett Mix here, Mixer Madness, doing the Monday Night Wars. This Monday Night Raw went on the air from April 28th, 1997 on the USA Network from the Omaha Civic Center in Omaha, Nebraska. After 80 weeks in total, WCW's won 61 times, Raw's won 17, and they've drawn twice. Vince, King, and JR are on commentary. This is the second Raw ever with just all solid red ropes, as last week was the first one. And event in total. For a second event ever for the WWF with the red ropes, as only Raw had them. We first see last week's highlights of the Bret Austin street fight last week. HBK saving Austin from the Hart Foundation, Austin attacking Bret in the ambulance, and then the end of the show when Pillman returned, then more brawling. Last week's show was story-driven. I rated it a 7 out of 10. It featured a ton of attitude and a preview of the story of what was to come for the next few years, how they'd book the show with a storyline-driven show. That's kind of a preview of what we saw last week. The show opens up with a thorn in your eye, and Omaha, Nebraska is ready to go. The first person to come to the ring is Brian Pillman with a mic. McMahon welcomes us on commentary at this point. Pillman is on the mic is a great start to me. He's awesome on the microphone. There's a sign that reads Pillman is God in the front row. Lots of Austin 316 shirts in the crowd. They're filling up like crazy in the crowd now. Pillman says he's a deeply religious person. Austin interrupts him on the Titantron and says, "You better pray that I don't beat your ass." Pillman says it says in the Bible, an eye for an eye, and to turn the cheek. And so he bends over and moons Austin without pulling his shorts down, or his jeans, I mean. He doesn't pull his jeans down, he just kind of turns the cheek and shows Austin his ass. Austin then, the glass breaks, and Austin comes out to a huge ovation. Probably the biggest pop ever for Austin to this point. The biggest pop he's ever gotten to this point in time, here in May of 1997. The Bulldog and Owen almost caught Austin in a trap, as Pillman wanted Austin to come out so Owen and Bulldog could jump him from behind. And Pillman says, "Brother Owen, Brother Davey, we need a moment of silence. We're in the midst of a prayer." Pillman says the family that prays together stays together. Pillman prays on one knee with the Hart Foundation. Bulldog says he'd like to pray for Bret to get better. Owen prays for his loving brother Bret to heal. Owen says he prays for Austin to realize from his mistakes. Austin is shown grabbing a weapon coming to the ring. Raw starting off with a story is refreshing. They'd learned to do this formula with a story promo to set up for the night. Austin runs back to the ring with an axe handle and chases off the Hart Foundation. Austin says, "You better pray to the Lord because your asses are mine." Crowd pops huge, and McMahon promises Austin to be a big part of tonight's story. So he knew that Austin's drawing the numbers on the USA Network. So to keep the show around Austin, build around what he's doing, that's going to turn people from Nitro. And he was right. The last week did a 2.8. This week does a 2.7. That's high for WWF. They usually did in the low 2s. So that's a huge spike. That's like over 500,000 people more watching the program because of Austin. That's a lot. Flash Funk took on Rockabilly to open the show for the match portion. Funk comes to the ring, and thank God his entrance is cut in half as we start with it just him dancing in the ring, not him coming out. Not that Honky Tonk Man's new protege Rockabilly is much better with his entrance, because we get to see his. Funk then with the top aerial move to Gunn with a few hip tosses, and he lands on his feet. Rockabilly hits his famouser, and it wasn't his finisher at the time. He went to the top rope to hit a tornado DDT. Rockabilly had Honky Tonk Man on the apron, and Funk sent Gunn into the apron, and then a Hurricane Rana, and they got the 3 count. Funk defeated Rockabilly at 4:42, and that's how you don't get Rockabilly over, by having him jobbed to Flash Funk. Gunn then Rockabilly slammed the guitar over the head of Flash Funk after the match. Gave it a 1.25 stars. Bret Hart is seen arriving from the ambulance, with Owen and the Bulldog pushing him around in his wheelchair. Monsoon and security are with him. McMahon says due to the consequences of last week, Austin enduring Brett, he required knee surgery in Calgary, but Brett is still here with us and with lots on his mind, says McMahon. Brett says on the mic he understands why Pillman prayed, but every once in a while a sneaky hyena gets through in the likes of Stone Cold Steve Austin, the scum of America. He says, what did I get for everything? Austin tried to end my career. He says, you Americans are bloodthirsty, you're sick, and depraved society. Brett said, I knew it would come down to this sooner or later, and he's going to prove why he's the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. And he says, you people don't like it how I say I'm the best, huh? Well, that's exactly how you feel about Americans. That was a good line, because Americans say we're the best all the time, so Brett shoved it right back in their face. Yeah, now you know how we all feel about it, how Americans say that. Bulldog and Owen take him away from the top entrance ramp. Austin continues to search for things backstage, looking for a first aid room. The LOD take on Doug Furnas and Philip Vaughn, who talk about how they're not over with the crowd, but they're great wrestlers. LOD drops a fist and a belly to the belly suplex. Where Animal comes in and drops Furnas with a drop kick. Animal with a power slam, a double clothesline, and a Doomsday Device. Even though Furnas wasn't on the shoulders, it was just a single Doomsday Device, and LOD win at 347. Gave the match a star and a half. Ahmed absolutely loses his shit when he's talking backstage about Farouk going down. Owen Hart with Bulldog and Brett took on Rocky Maivia for the IC title. Owen dedicates this match to his loving brother Brett. King says Owen is the most underrated talent in WWF history. JR agrees. And when you watch this match, you can see why. He won the match at 8:26, and he's the new IC champion with a victory roll from behind. And a lot of the crowd popped, slightly, mostly because Rocky Maivia was not over with the crowd. And Owen has his fans. So, 3 stars for that match. Owen's the new Intercontinental Champion. They show a clip of Austin pushing himself with a wheelchair. Hour 2 begins, and Austin cuts a promo from the wheelchair. They do a video package on Ken Shamrock. Vader defeats Jesse James. Gave that match half a star. Jim Ross goes into the ring to get a word with Vader, seeing if he has any remorse after he bashed the interviewer in Kuwait that said wrestling was fake. And Vader said he could start doing that to JR, and he pushed him in the corner and started to bully him. Shamrock hates bullies, so Shamrock came over and gave him a belly-to-belly suplex and said, Shamrock says, I'll see you at In Your House, to Vader. Goldust then took on Hunter Hearst Helmsley, trying to beat on Goldust when he was outside the ring. And then Marlena came in and put powder in her face, and then Chyna grabbed Triple H and choked him out and thought he was Goldust. And Chyna and Hunter Hearst Helmsley was like, Chyna, it's me, Chyna, it's me. But he couldn't speak because Chyna had his hands around his throat. So Goldust ended up winning up by countout at 7:49. It was a decent enough TV match. Goldust beat Triple H, and I gave the match 2 stars. Undertaker backstage in an interview says no person deserves to have their flesh burned, but when Paul Bearer brought the flame, he brought the fire. Taker says, you understand this, Austin. You may rest in peace at a cold day in hell. He says, you got some momentum, but you will drop, and all my creatures of the night will be there. Taker takes on the Bulldog with Owen Hart and Bret Hart in the main event. Bulldog dedicated this match to Bret Hart. He said he would beat Taker and become champion. A lot of love throughout the Hart Foundation. McMahon, though, reminded us this match was a non-title match, even though Bulldog said he would take his title. The last time Raw beat Nitro 43 weeks ago, this was the main event, so maybe they wanted good luck with this. They did a high 2.8, but as I said, Nitro did a 3.4 this week, so this was their 43rd loss in a row to Nitro. Davey Boy Smith with a vertical suplex that held in the air for a while, displaying his power like always. Undertaker wins by DQ at 4:08 after Bulldog and Owen interfered. Or Owen did interfere. Bulldog was in the match. Austin chants from the crowd, and Austin ran in from the crowd and started attacking him. I gave the match a star, and that's it for the match portion of the show. In the end, Austin and Taker had a stare down. Austin lifted up his title. Austin then stunned the Undertaker and then flipped him off, and then Taker and some of the crowd cheered. Then Taker sat up and grabbed Austin by the throat, chokeslammed him, and more of the crowd cheered. Then Austin ran up the ramp to tackle Bret Hart, but Bret Hart, he didn't get to Bret. Bret went on his crutches, and Jim the Anvil Neidhart made his return and attacked Austin. And that's how we end the show, with Jim Neidhart attacking Austin and joining Bret. So now the Hart Foundation is all reunited. They're all there. This episode scores a quality rating of 6.5 out of 10 because it featured more storytelling, more chaos, hell throughout the night. We saw the adventures of Stone Cold Steve Austin, and that's what the viewers on USA wanted at the time, and that's what we saw. We also saw a great match between Owen Hart and The Rock, with him winning the IC title. So we had a good combination of storytelling and wrestling on this episode. So 6.5 out of 10. We'll see what you guys on the next review. That's it for this week's Monday Night Raw. I'm Brett Mix. Hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.